We are of opinion that instead of letting books grow moldy behind an iron grating, far from the vulgar gaze, it is better to let them wear out by being read.
Greetings.
Hello.
This is the We Read Books podcast.
Yes, it is.
We are a show where we read books and then we come together and talk about them because it's fun.
It is fun.
It's the most fun.
And it's really fun because we both like books. Try having a book conversation with someone who doesn't care what you're talking about.
Yeah. It's something I've never, ever been able to grasp intellectually, how someone just doesn't read.
Yeah.
I just don't really like to read. What do you do then?
They watch stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or maybe they like to listen to stuff.
Yeah.
Like music.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I've read people. I've met people that have said things to me like, yeah, I don't really like music.
That one is, I think not liking music might be more confusing than not liking books.
And I feel like maybe it's not so much that, and this is just me guessing, because I think I didn't ask any follow-up questions.
Yeah.
I'm very non-confrontational, so I was like, oh, well, okay. I should have asked questions.
Let me psychoanalyze you.
Right, my mind just went like a million things at once, and so my mouth just went, okay. But I think it's like maybe they enjoy music passively, but they just don't have bands that they're like chasing after, looking up the lyrics, like really super into.
Yeah.
That's how my brain. I was like, you like music, you just don't like music.
Yeah.
You're not like a psycho about certain types of music or
Yeah.
bands, but everybody likes music, right?
Yeah. I don't know that I've ever met anyone who actually said, yeah, I'm not really into music.
Yeah. And same with people who are like, oh, I don't really like books. You just, like Joanne Rowling says, you just haven't found the right book.
Yeah, that's what I literally, anyone who tells me, like, I don't like to read, I just don't enjoy it, I always fall asleep. I'm like, yeah, you're not picking the right books for yourself.
Or the right time of day.
Or, yeah, exactly.
If you're feeling warm and cozy,
maybe
you need to grab a thriller. Don't grab Lord of the Rings. It's like, soothing and descriptive, because that will lull you.
Lord of the Rings does read like a hug.
Yeah. I like that. That needs to be on a sweatshirt.
We called it.
Yeah.
If we see this on Etsy in like a month, well, there's nothing we can do, but
right.
We're mad.
Yeah. And thanks for listening.
Yeah, I guess.
To
steal our
But we're
ideas.
still mad.
We'll get over it, but we're pissed. Send
Right.
us a free one.
Right. Yes. That's how you can make it up to us. But yeah, so if people don't like reading, you do. You just don't know it yet.
Exactly.
Or you like books because you've watched a movie. It's your favorite movie. Well, guess what? It's probably based on a book.
Yeah.
And you'd probably like the book better. Let me tell you.
For real. Yeah, I don't know. I'm almost as confused by that as people who only read nonfiction. Mm-hmm. Because I find nonfiction super boring.
Some people really enjoy facts and events. My brain could never comprehend dates and such. So history was a struggle for me.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't just the event. You had to know when it happened, who was there.
Yeah.
Lots of pertinent information, you know. Set into a story mode and you might have me. But if you're just throwing, it happened here, this many people lived, this many people died. What year was it? I don't know.
Yeah. There's some nonfiction that I would find interesting, like a biography of, maybe more of an autobiography.
Yeah.
Someone that's writing their own story. Biographies written by other people, whatever. But like Tom Felton's book, which I have not read, but
I would really like
really like to. Maybe that could be our first nonfiction.
Ooh, that would be, yes.
Super fun.
Voted, yes.
The motion has passed. The Dave Grohl.
I was going to say, you liked the Dave Grohl one, didn't you?
I loved, yeah. And Dave Grohl's like one of the coolest dudes on earth.
Yeah.
Like,
this man is so humble. He's like, I'm not that good of a drummer. Excuse me. Stop.
Yeah, Dave. He's like literally the coolest person. If you watch there are a ton of like YouTube interviews. He's just eternally cool.
Yeah.
And just super like down to earth and
Yes.
fun. And he talks about like the first time he was in the car with his kids and like a Nirvana song came on and how like weird it was. It's just, I don't know.
See, I think an autobiography, yeah, it's a real person, but it's like, that's kind of the thing. I know you don't always love first person books,
right?
Fiction books, but I mean, you can almost read it like it's that. Like you're getting the internal emotional thoughts,
right,
of the character, quote unquote,
right,
which is that real person. So
exactly,
it kind of draws you in a little bit, you know. So
and there is an art to writing your own story, even because there still has to be structure. There still has to be like a compelling narrative structure, linear, whatever. So even though it's your story, you can't just be like, this is when I was born.
Right.
Right? Like,
it would be boring.
It would be. Right?
We'll have to also pick a nonfiction that's about something as well down the road. Maybe we could find a shorter one.
Yeah.
To start with.
Yeah.
We'll take recommendations.
Any of our nonfiction loving listeners, I can't imagine that you would be listening to this show.
True.
Because they're very fantasy heavy.
Yes. Which is the farthest from normal nonfiction you can get.
Right. It's not even attempting to mimic current life. So
0%.
Yeah. I think probably that is a thing. Like people who really love fantasy, especially like high fantasy, they're the ones who just cannot with the nonfiction. They're like, listen, I'm trying to leave reality.
Right.
I'm not trying to get deeper in it. I experience it enough in my day to day.
Right. It's like, this world is bleak. I don't need more of it.
Right. And getting bleaker.
Right. Maybe there's some nonfictions out there that are full of hope, even still.
I hope so. I'm sure there are.
I'm sure there are.
There are definitely nonfiction stories out there that are like about really like great things.
Yeah. We're not dogging on you. We're just confused. Not trying you.
Yeah. I think a lot of people who read nonfiction are probably reading like motivational books.
Yeah.
Maybe not like self-help in the general sense, but there's a YouTuber that I've followed for a number of years. Her name's Taylor Wynn. She travels. She was originally a beauty YouTuber doing makeup and stuff.
Oh, yeah. I think you've told me about her.
I have her candle. This is her candle.
Nice.
But she, for the longest time, exclusively read nonfiction, motivational stuff, like being financially savvy, blah, blah, blah.
Maybe the real smart people are reading nonfiction.
I mean, they probably are. But she recently got into fiction. Specifically, I think she read, I don't know if she read ACOTAR. I know she read Fourth Wing.
So what you're saying is she cannonballed.
She cannonballed into the deep end.
Into the deep end.
Yeah. So I know she read Fourth Wing and Iron Flame, which I'm really intrigued to read, but I am super terrified because...
Are you worried it won't live up to the hype?
I'm 100% sure that it is way overhyped.
Before we go any further, that is mad.
And that's Whit bringing us around to what we usually do.
But
sometimes we do forget, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We get carried away. We can even do the social channels later. I just wanted to pause.
Yeah.
Because we didn't tell you. But please continue. So Iron Wing.
Yeah.
Cautiously concerned that it's overhyped.
I have been... This is what I know for sure. There are dragons, which immediately you have my attention. Yes. I love dragons.
Wyverns, dragons.
So that's interesting. But I have heard that the prose is... There are two camps here. Some people are like, the prose is terrible. And she uses like a lot of modern lingo and slang. Mm-hmm. But this is not a modern world. Mm-hmm. Because you have books like Crescent City, which is like... The world that they're in is not Earth. It's called Midgard. Mm-hmm. But they have a high-tech society. Yeah. So they have phones or cars, cameras. So, but they still, there's not slang happening, really. Yeah. Like, they talk like we normally talk. Mm-hmm. It's not heavy.
Doth blah, blah, blah.
Right. So when you have like a modern word creep up in something like Crescent City, it's not jarring because they're also texting. Right. Right. So your brain is like, okay, this is fine. Yeah. But I've heard that Fourth Wing is not a high-tech society. It's more like medieval, like we're thinking like ACOTAR, Throne of Glass kind of society. But they're using current lingo. And that immediately makes me really not want to read it at all. Because I just know that I'm going to hate it. Yeah. But then there are the people who really love them. And they're like, well, she did that on purpose. Okay. But why, though? Are we trying to subvert genre norms? Because that's kind of a bad way to do that. To fuck up your prose. Yeah. The foundation of what you're writing. Yeah. I'm going to make a stand by writing bad prose. What? So I don't...
Maybe she wanted to make a new kind.
Maybe. So I'm going to have to get the physical copy. I already know because since it's that's not the only controversy. There are some others. But the main like issue that because I'm trying not to spoil it for myself if I do read it. Yeah. But I know that since the prose is in question, I'm going to have to read the physical book and not listen to it.
Yeah. So that you can really mull it over.
Yeah. Yeah. Really get in there.
Yeah. And not go by the tone of the reader.
Right. So we'll see if I take the plunge. I don't know. I'm scared.
We can do it together. We can do it for the pod. Okay. If you want. If you don't want to do it alone.
Yeah. I feel like it might be easier for me if you were also reading with me.
I will do this with you.
Because I would just be floundering out here by myself, just hating it, I'm sure.
You're like, I need someone to talk to about this.
So many people love it. Yeah. Because at least with ACOTAR, I can understand why people love it, even though I don't hate it. It's enjoyable to read, but I don't love it. Right. But I understand why people do. Yeah. I just feel like I'm not going to understand.
You're scared of it.
I'm so scared.
I get it.
And it sucks because it's dragons.
Yeah. Damn it. Especially after the last book we read, I understand that fear of like being super hyped for something and then being let down. So I get it.
So anyway, this week, this episode, this week, whatever, I don't know.
This day you are listening.
On this day, 20th December 2023. That's the date, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. This is going to be our year in review. Yep. This is our wrap up. We're going to talk some Christmas. Yeah. Because Christmas festivities start in 4 days.
They are nigh.
We are on the cusp. Mm-hmm. And we're on the cusp of Caleb's birthday. Yes. Whitney's betrothed.
My darling dear.
Moon and stars. His birthday is also nigh.
Yes. It's in 2 days.
2 days. He's going to be 21.
Yep. Robbing that cradle. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. He's older than me. Yeah. By like a year and some months. Okay.
I always forget how much older than me he is. It's like 4 years.
He's an 86 baby.
Yeah, 4 years.
I'm an 88 baby.
So much closer. I'm a 90 baby.
I'm the bridge between.
Yeah. And what's funny is Jeree is 6 years older than me. I was way too young to be hanging out with these people whenever we first met.
You're a mature soul, so.
Yeah. I was 18, 17.
Yeah. In some worlds, that's of age or whatever.
In Twilight, it's of age.
I knew you were going to bring that up.
I'm nothing if not consistent.
And I love it. I love it.
Well, you know what? We'll talk about that later.
We will. We can.
We'll talk
Let's
about it
please.
later. It's kind of book news anyway.
It is. It is book news, so we will definitely get into that.
Our social channels before we get into Christmas, our 23 wrap up, our looking forward to 24.
Mm-hmm.
Our social channels, Instagram and TikTok at We Read Books Pod, and our email, wereadbookspod23@gmail.com.
Yep,
So
that's us.
you can find us all 3 locations, day and night.
But we're not going to answer you during sleeping hours.
No, I need my rest.
If it's emergent, we are not the one to call.
Please don't.
But we'll get it when we wake up.
Yeah. In which case, probably the moment has passed.
Right. And before we go any further, I do want to make a correction on our Shining episode. I believe this was my fault. I called him Lloyd Grady because in my brain, while reading the book, Lloyd, the bartender, and Grady were the same person. No. Lloyd is one character, and then Grady, his first name's Delbert. So that's my bad. But also, we've talked to Lloyd a lot, and then we just sort of like skip over to Grady for a hot second so quickly that my brain just made them one person. So, my bad. But also, it doesn't change my review at all.
No, it doesn't.
And those 2 characters pretty much had the same goals. So
yeah, essentially. I mean,
perhaps Lloyd was more of a personification of the hotel, and then Grady was just a trapped soul. But still, they both led Jack to the same means, or to the same end. So
yeah, they were both under the control of the hotel.
Right.
I mean, at the end of the day, they were the hotel, essentially.
But just in case someone was screaming the entire time, we kept
carrying on.
Yeah, going back and forth calling said character Lloyd or Grady or Lloyd Grady. I realized my mistake, and I'm sorry.
Yep. 20 lashes.
Right.
Do we want to do Christmas first?
Yeah, let's talk
Christmas tradish.
Yes.
I know you had asked if there are any like books that I usually read around Christmas, and no. I know like the obvious answer would be A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens, but there aren't really any that I always read.
Yeah. And I didn't have any either, but I did pick up A Christmas Carol a couple weeks ago, so I'm very excited.
Have you read any Charles Dickens?
I have not.
Ooh.
But now I have two.
I love Charles Dickens.
And this one is small. It's a shorty.
Yeah, Christmas Carol's more of like novella.
So I think I can. I mean, that one would be a good introduction if I don't start with Oliver Twist. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so I have 2 Charles Dickens books now. But yeah, so I don't know if I'll read it every year because I also enjoy watching multiple versions of A Christmas Carol.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited to read the book. I'm sure the adaptations are pretty close, but just to read it directly from Charles himself, it'll be fun. It'll be cool.
Charles Dickens it's such a vibe to read. Mm-hmm. Like, it's very similar to reading Tolkien in that it almost, and whenever we read Dorian Gray, a lot of, I mean, Oliver Twist, there's a ton of shit happening, but a lot of the, like, awesomeness about the book is really the way that it's written and, like, the language.
Yeah.
Which is really the case for Dorian Gray. It's just the way he wrote is just so lovely to read.
Yeah.
So, I love Charles. I have a Charles Dickens tattoo, so.
Yeah.
And it's Oliver Twist.
Amazing.
It's my fave, Charles Dickens.
I don't think I have any, well, other than Harry Potter. I don't think I have, well, I do. I have a Lord of the Rings. So I have a Lord of the Rings and a Harry Potter tattoo. But other than that, I don't think I have any book tattoos. I'm going to have to change that.
Yeah. The Dodger is the only one that I have. Well, aside from my Harry Potter tattoo. But Dodger is also a Gilmore Girls tattoo.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
So it's like
it's doing double duty.
So if I ever meet someone and they see it and they know both references, we're the same.
You're like, did I just make a new adult friend?
we're gonna be besties, right? So, you know, it's like a constant quiz.
Right.
You're always being tested.
Right.
And then, but 99% of people, because it's on my forearm, so it's visible almost always. 90% of people see it and they're like, Dodger, are you a baseball fan?
No, I was going to say, please don't tell me that people think it's baseball.
Yeah. And I'm like, you mean the Dodgers? Do you think it doesn't have an S?
No regrets. Yes, I messed that up.
No, I'm not a Dodgers fan.
Right.
Why would I just get Dodger in script?
Because you're diehard.
I'm like, no, it's a Charles Dickens reference. And they're like, I don't get it.
And they've angered you.
I know you don't get it. He was a pickpocket, the Artful Dodger. And they're like, oh, a criminal. Yeah. It's better than a baseball team.
Say something again and I will come at you.
I may not be armed, but I am dangerous.
Right. Diss it again. I dare you.
People are so funny.
That is funny.
But it is a deep cut. Like, of course, people are not going to always get it.
Though it's funny because there was one time we were out and I noticed something. It was a fandom that I really enjoy, that a guy, I think it was a shirt he was wearing. And I was like, oh my gosh, I absolutely love your shirt. And instead of going, oh, thank you. Yeah, that's amazing. He goes, do you know what it's from? Excuse me? Yes, I know what it's from. And then I was like, yeah, I have a tattoo for it, but you want to come at me? I complimented you. Yeah. I was like, never mind, I take it back.
I hate it. Yeah, I think
so. It's like you don't want to be pretentious about those things. It's like if someone says they like your thing, just say, hey, thanks.
Yeah.
Unless they're accusing you of being a baseball fan. That's when you get mad.
Yeah, I mean, you have to draw a line in the sand somewhere. Yeah, I never expect anyone to know what Dodger means.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to, like, be a dick to you if you, like... But if you, like, oh, are you a Dodgers fan? Like, first of all, there's no S. So no.
And there's a difference between going, oh, what's Dodger? And, what's that mean?
Yeah, I always get that for my Harry Potter tattoo, too. Because I Must Not Tell Lies on my foot. Mm-hmm. Because Order of the Phoenix is my favorite book of the series.
And you didn't want to commit to doing that on the top of your hand.
Yeah, I was not ready to commit my hand. But, like, when I worked at the court, I was wearing, like, ballet flats so you could see it. And one of the older women who worked there, she was like, what does your foot say? Because it's like a screen grab from the film. Right. So it looks like a brand. Yeah. And I said, oh, it says I must not tell lies. And she's like, is that a problem for you? Oh, my God. And I was like, no, it's from Harry Potter. And she was like, oh. Like, that was somehow worse than being, like, a pathological liar.
I thought you had a truth-telling problem, but now I found out you're a Harry Potter fan. Ugh.
Yeah.
Disgusting.
Like, here we go.
That's amazing.
It was a very weird interaction. I was just like, well, I don't know how you want me to respond now.
Human interaction is hard, and that's why books are so great. You observe them instead of have them.
Exactly. I can be a constant bystander.
Yes. And while I still yell as if the characters are right in front of me, yes, I will.
Yeah, exactly.
But, I understand they can't hear me. Don't worry.
Yeah, we're not talking to inanimate objects in a serious way.
No. Or attributing their responses in our minds.
Awkward pause.
Yeah.
Grady Hendrix, we're talking to you.
Directly. I don't know how we got so far off topic yet again, but I think we were supposed to be talking about Christmas.
Since neither one of us have regular Christmas books we read.
Right.
We both do have hefty Christmas film lists.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
The absolutes for our household are Scrooged, which is based on A Christmas Carol, A Muppet Christmas Carol, which I dare say is the best interpretation. Come at me, I will fight you over this. It's amazing. Michael Caine, he even said he treated the Muppets as if they were other actors. Mm-hmm. And that's why it's so spectacular. Then we have Home Alone 1 and 2 only.
Yeah.
Third Beyond, no, thank you.
Yeah.
I say, no. And then I started one year. I woke up early on Christmas Day. I was sick. I was like, let's watch Gremlins. That is a Christmas movie. Okay, set at Christmas. Mogwai is the Christmas present. Mm-hmm. I fell immediately asleep like halfway through the movie after we opened our presents. But since then, it's our Christmas Day movie. So
that's awesome.
And Christmas Vacation. Mm-hmm. That one's one of the musts. Now, there's other favorites and ones we really like to watch, but those are like it doesn't feel like Christmas, or my husband will be very sad if we don't watch at least those.
Yeah.
So
we have a lot of those on our list as well. Our very first Christmas movie of the season always is Christmas with the Cranks.
Nice.
I love Jamie Lee Curtis, so I'll probably watch anything she's in, and I don't care. So that's our kicking off the season always is Christmas with the Cranks. We always watch Home Alone 1 and 2 only. Mm-hmm. Christmas Eve, we always watch Christmas Vacation. Intermittently, like those are the 4 must watch. No questions asked. But we also watch usually 4 Christmases with Vince Vaughn. Mm-hmm. The Santa Claus with Tim Allen.
Yes, that's one that we watch too.
The Christmas Chronicles. That one's newer.
It's fun. It's super fun.
It's fun, yeah. Kurt Russell. He is so good as Santa.
So good.
Yeah. You said this the other day. He is the hottest Santa for sure.
Hottest Santa. I made the mistake of saying that like in front of my boss, who's a middle-aged man. And he was just like, excuse me? And I was like, you have a thing for Santa? No, that's not.
I have a thing for Kurt Russell. You're
right. I was going to say, now I feel weird and I can't even back myself out of this corner.
Yeah.
Now I will say David Harbour is a close second with his action Christmas movie that came out. Was it last year? Violent Night?
We have not seen that one, but
he's a handsome Santa too.
Yeah.
But Kurt Russell.
I know.
He's Kurt Russell.
He's Kurt Russell.
So
he does a good Santa.
He does.
It's a really cute movie. We always watch Elf.
Elf is a really good one.
Let's see. There's a couple more. Harold and Kumar Christmas is like on the nights in early December, just like weeknight after work.
Yeah.
We'll usually do like the Harold and Kumar Christmas, Bad Santa, Office Christmas Party, like the stupid ones that are just funny.
We'll do Krampus as a transitional one as well, like from the spooky into the Christmas season. So Krampus is a good one too.
Yeah.
And it's got some good humor in it, so I like that one a lot.
Yeah. And we always watch, like, I think you can get, I know Hulu does it where they have, like, a category where you can just watch the Christmas episodes of certain shows.
Yeah, that's cool
So
that they do that.
We do. I don't know if The Office is on there, though. But we do like to watch the Office Christmas episodes.
Yeah. My favorite one is probably the Belschnickel one.
Yeah.
I know that I had to have a couple things cut out, and that's fine, because there are just certain things that, you should not do.
Right.
But I'm glad that they didn't cancel the entire episode, because it's actually very sweet.
Yeah.
Between Jim and Dwight, and
I
like that one a lot.
Yeah. I like that one a lot, too. I also like whenever they do the, when Phyllis plans the Christmas party.
Yes. The Moroccan Christmas.
The Moroccan Christmas.
I like the one where Phyllis is Santa.
Me too.
Though, Michael
Scott.
I love when Kelly one holiday, whatever it is, she's like, can we just have a party without making it all about your issues? I'm like, finally, yes, someone said it.
Yeah. And, like, I think the first Christmas episode is the one where Jim gives Pam the teapot.
Yes, it is.
That's the Secret Santa or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Those early episodes. I love early episodes of The Office, but it just feels like I just need Jim and Pam to stop messing around.
I know. I don't know. I've probably watched it too many times now, because now I'm watching it and I get really annoyed at Pam for lots of things.
I know. Yeah.
Even when they're together, I'm just like, why are you like this?
Yeah. I think that's pretty common amongst, like, fans of The Office. Is
okay,
being
good.
Kind of, like, annoyed with Pam. But I do sometimes see especially...
Oh, Jim can be... I just mean Pam as a character, not even just in the relationship.
In the relationship,
because Jim makes mistakes. There's no arguing that.
Yeah. It's tough.
Yeah.
Dakota started watching the last season of The Office while he was in Texas, because we usually stop whenever Michael Scott leaves.
It gets good after that. It's a weird transition, but it does get good.
The Will Ferrell episodes are almost too painful to watch.
They are.
Super awkward. Mm-hmm. But I do really like Robert California.
Yes.
He's so funny. Whenever...
He's great.
Andy, like, is threatening him on the phone and he calls him a soft penis debutante. I can't. Like, I laugh hysterically every time. There's nothing funnier than that insult. It's hilarious.
And he's just so, like...
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It's just like he everything he says, he believes with every fiber of his being, and doesn't care if it's an absolute lie. He will say he believes it with every fiber of his being. Like, he's just so, like... I don't know. I don't know how to describe that character.
I just think that James Spader is James Spader.
Yeah.
And it's the vibe that I kind of get with some of Steve Carell's scenes as Michael. I think there are certain scenes where James Spader is just allowed to say things.
Yeah.
Especially, like, when he has, like, big chunks of monologue. I feel like they were just like, James... just say some wild ass shit. Like when he's talking about college gymnastics. Just like
when he leaves. Yeah, I was like, no.
Yeah.
No.
But one day I'm going to call someone a soft penis debutante and it's going to hit hard.
You'll say it with a straight face, and then after you turn around and walk away, you'll die of laughter. But you won't let them see the laughter. They have to see
It's got to be daggers only.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's my goal in life. Okay.
Speaking of daggers, do you always have to fit in a Grinch movie into your watching experience?
I personally like the original cartoon.
The cartoon.
Grinch. Yes. Dakota, if he's going to watch a Grinch, he usually likes to go Jim Carrey Grinch.
It's well made, but it's either, like, got real sad or kind of cringy moments for me.
Yeah.
And I don't mean like it's inappropriate cringy, just like awkward cringy. Like The Office is hard for me to. I'll watch it, but it's hard for me. Sometimes I have to get up and walk. I know that sounds, or look away because it's so painful to my inner soul.
Yeah.
So, but I can admit that it's a well-made movie. It's just
tough to watch.
Yeah, it's tough for me to watch. But I really love the Benedict Cumberbatch one. It's very sweet while still having the Grinch be very sour. But that one's my favorite. I think it gets me misty-eyed just about every time I watch it.
Yeah.
So it's a good one.
Oh, and then the full gambit. We have the full gambit in here.
Yeah, yeah. And then the Charlie Browns, of course. You gotta at least see like a scene out of it or something. Catch one on TV.
I have always really liked the Charlie Brown Christmas special as well.
Yeah.
I like when they're all in like the auditorium and they're dancing.
Yeah.
They all have, each character has like a dance move that they do. Always loved it.
I like it too.
But yeah. Usually those are like Christmas Eve at my grandma's.
Yes. On in the background. Yeah. I'm sure there's ones that I've forgotten. I'll probably blurt it out later if it pops in my brain or, whatever. But there's a lot of good Christmas movies out there.
Tons of good Christmas movies, for sure.
Oh, White Christmas. I love that one.
I don't think I've ever seen that. I don't know.
Bing Crosby and Danny Kaye. It's a good classic Christmas movie. Like a lot of people love It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah.
I really like White Christmas.
Okay. I do not watch It's a Wonderful Life.
Because it's very sad for a good portion of the movie.
I also don't really care about Christmas Story.
Oh, I don't like it at all. When it's on for 24 hours, I avoid that channel entirely.
Yeah.
Like, I just had a Jim Carrey Grinch moment. Loathe entirely.
Loathe. Yeah. Dakota's grandparents usually just have the marathon of A Christmas Story on.
No, they should. If they're going to do a marathon of anything, it should be Christmas Vacation.
I agree.
You'll catch a new quip every time, I guarantee you.
Yeah. I'm also just I'm not a film buff, so films that are pre-1970, I'm just not into.
I get that.
So, like, It's a Wonderful Life is older. Mm-hmm. Not my gig.
Hey, that's fair.
So.
That's fair.
I mean, I'm sure it's excellent, but I just don't want to watch it.
Right. I totally get that. Let's kind of recap our first year on these podcast airwaves.
Yeah.
2023.
Woo.
Because even though we didn't start airing episodes till like the middle of the year, we really started in like February or March doing our pre-recordings.
We did, yeah. So I mapped this out as favorite books we've read, least favorite books we've read, favorite episodes that we've done.
Yeah, I like that.
So, and then we can kind of like talk about if we have other books we've read this year that we really liked or whatever also.
You know me being very, not slow, but like focused. Like, so mostly I read stuff for the podcast, but that's okay.
Yeah. Totally.
There's plenty of those to talk about.
Yes.
Or just, random books that I picked up that sounded like they might be good,
Yeah. Hey,
I'll get to those.
Well, yeah. I have, like, literally so many of those I have not yet read.
And you even, like, read on the side from what we're reading, so.
I do. Yeah. I'm usually always reading something else as well.
Yeah.
So.
I like to, I don't know. I'm like, I think I'm not giving myself enough credit, and I'm afraid that I'll, like, forget things about the thing that we're going to talk about. Mm-hmm. So I try and stay, I might get, like, one book ahead or something, but I usually try and, like, stay on that one so I'm fresh.
Yeah.
But I need to get myself out of that. Just take good notes.
Yeah. I just I'm a heavily mood reader. Mm-hmm. So sometimes I will like pull up a book on Audible and start listening to it. And I'm like, I'm not actually listening to this right now. I need to switch to something else. So that's how I end up reading 2-3 books at a time.
Hey.
Just depends. Because
I'm impressed. Truly.
I have a short attention span, apparently.
That's okay.
And then other times I will have like a very obsessive like focus on a particular book. So I will literally do nothing else.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. If I'm like sitting thinking about a book, like I can't even concentrate on anything else, like that's a good book to me. Or at least an interesting book at very least.
Yeah, I agree.
I like books like that.
So of our books that we've read, which we've read like at this point, I think, I don't know, like 16 books.
I was trying to tally it in my head the other day because I was like, well, I know some books we had to have a couple episodes for, and then we had we watched movies in there and stuff, but yeah, I think you're about right.
I think
if not
17.
Spot on.
Yeah, I think we read 17 books. So
look at us go. That's more than one a month.
That is.
Which for you, that's like a drop in the bucket, but for me, this feels like an accomplishment. It's probably the most books I've ever read in a year. So, woohoo!
That's awesome. I think a book a month, honestly, is an excellent goal. Yeah. I know like people on Book Talk will read like 150 books a year, and I'm just like, listen here. I read a lot, and I read very quickly, generally. I'm not reading 150 books a year.
Are you retaining what you're reading, or are you just like checking it off or putting a notch on the bedpost, as they say?
That's what it feels like. Because a lot of the times, too, when I'm done reading a book, if I enjoyed it, I'm going to go back and re-listen to it, reread it, because the first time through, you're not getting everything.
Yeah.
So every book that I read that I enjoy, I've read twice. Yeah. At least.
And I definitely want to do that because there's some books I know that I enjoy, but I'm like, I'm certain there's even more to unpack that I missed the first time around.
Yeah. So, I mean, just doing that alone puts you at like a lower count. But books are not read to be tallied.
No.
They're read to be like consumed and absorbed and enjoyed or critiqued or whatever.
Thought about.
At the very least, to be thought about.
Yeah. If not, move you.
Yeah.
In some way. Yeah. Whether that be good or bad.
There's like a book high that you're chasing usually.
Yes. Yeah.
Especially in a very particular kind of book. Like after I finished reading Kingdom of Ash for the first time, and even with, I know we haven't talked about Kingdom of Ash, we will get to it someday.
Yeah.
So, spoiler alert, if you have not read it.
Skip ahead a minute.
Skip ahead of this. But like I know the end was not how I would have wanted that story to end. Mainly that it is my least favorite trope on the entire earth is the main female character loses her powers. I fucking hate it. I hate it.
Yeah.
Regardless of the fact that that's what happens, it still feels very epic at the end.
Oh, yeah.
It, like, builds you up so much.
Yeah.
Because it's so long.
Yeah.
It really didn't need to be that long. But there's, like, a feeling that it gives you. Regardless of its flaws, there's a feeling somehow that book gives you that at the end, I felt very deflated. Like, after it was over, and I'd read it, it was done, I was like, what am I going to read now?
Yeah, like, I've had reading slumps before where I finish, like, a big series, and then I'm like, so I'm done with that world. I'm not ready to jump into one again just yet. I'm not emotionally ready for this.
Yeah, especially because, I am a member of the 13.
Right.
And so, at the end, with the 13, I was wrecked.
Oh.
I mean...
As you should have been. If you weren't wrecked, who are you?
I have never been more devastated. Because...
And you didn't get a ton of time with those characters.
I know.
And they but they get in there.
They really sucked me in.
They did. At the first, when we first meet Manon, I'm like, who is this? Why am I meeting this person? They're just distracting from the story that I'm trying to read.
Yeah.
And then absolutely loved her.
Obsessed.
Yeah.
I loved her immediately. The way that, like, she's, like, hiding in this cabin and then she's just, like, wrong kind of witch. I was like, yeah.
I think I was just confused by her presence.
Yeah.
Still, yes.
I know. But, yeah. I think those deaths were the most devastating book deaths I've ever encountered.
Yeah.
And, you know, Sirius Black's death was major for me.
It was so brief, though. Like, you didn't even have... I mean, unless you, like, put your book down and thought about it. You didn't really have a moment to, like, really dwell in it or think about... You know, it just happened. There was no emotional... I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I know.
Not saying that it wasn't emotional, but you know what I mean? It's, like, it's not, like, a whole thing that's happening and it's... You see it coming or, like, the sacrifice... You know, it's just, like, boom, he's gone. Huh?
Yeah.
Huh?
I know.
What?
I know. So there were a handful of Harry Potter deaths that really struck me.
Yeah.
Sirius, Hedwig, Fred. Mm-hmm. But I still think that the 13 is probably the most devastating that I've ever read, which is saying something. And I'm down for a character death.
Yeah.
I feel like...
I feel betrayed. You're like, I get why you had to do that.
Not enough characters die. I feel like authors get very attached to them and they're just like, I can't kill this character. And I'm just like, cut that tie.
No.
It increases the tension so much. Just kill them.
You're right.
That's really callous, but...
You're right, but I still hate it.
let's raise the stakes.
Right. Oh, man.
So, but anyway, I don't even know why we were talking about that.
I don't either. We were supposed to talk about our favorite books that we've read.
Favorite books that we've read.
For the pod.
For the pod.
For the pod.
Let me see. This is tough.
It's tough.
We've got some juggernauts on this list.
Yeah. I have two that popped out in my head as favorite, but I'm also not counting any of the Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings.
I agree. I feel like it's not fair.
It's not. So for ones that I hadn't read before, but not only just that, because, you know, there were ones on the list that I had read before that could have been up there, but my favorite two were Pride and Prejudice and Legendborn.
You know, I feel like if we're eliminating HP and Lord of the Rings, I would also say of books that I had not read before, Legendborn would take the top slot for sure.
I enjoyed reading it the most. I was captivated the whole time. The pacing was incredible.
It was great pacing.
There were new things being revealed, but never did I feel like things were being held back or rushed.
Right.
It wasn't like, just tell me the thing. It was like, as things unraveled, it was just very organic, and it was just excellent.
It was excellent.
Excellent. And then Pride and Prejudice being my first classic, and I just loved the world. I loved the characters. I loved the relationship, that love story. It was one I was so intimidated by and absolutely loved by the end. Those two by far.
I totally agree. Pride and Prejudice is an old fave of mine. It's one that I read every single year of my life. I rewatch the Keira Knightley film when at any point I could be watching it. If I'm going to be baking, maybe I'll pop it on. If I'm sad, I'll watch it. I mean, at any given moment, I could be watching that movie.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite stories, period. But Legendborn, I think if I was going to choose books that I had read for the first time, I would probably go Legendborn and then The Shining. Yes.
The Shining, I know. I was like, if I'm picking two, I'm picking those, but Shining's up there.
Yeah.
I really liked that one a lot.
I really enjoyed it. It's off genre for me typically, so that's interesting. It's off genre in multiple ways. I don't read a horror or a thriller. It's older than my usual selection. It's in that time period that I just never go to.
Yeah.
I'm either going like old.
Yeah.
Or I'm going fantasy, which is, either Tolkien or new.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just, yeah, it was just excellent. But of course, I mean, Stephen King is a prose master. So
yeah,
I think that's one of the things that all three of these have in common is such great writing.
Yeah.
I mean, folks.
Yeah.
The words on the page, they matter.
That's why we read.
I think I've been hearing a lot of chatter on TikTok specifically about how the quantity of books coming out has increased and the quality of books has decreased.
Mm-hmm.
Which is interesting because there are so many great books that are coming out.
Yeah.
But also, I think this is coming off of like the major Fourth Wing hype, which Iron Flame is its sequel, because of all of the people talking about the prose.
Yeah.
And I mean, if the prose isn't there, I'm not gonna like it.
Yeah.
I'll like a book with zero story if the prose is good. Probably.
I can respect that.
I mean, Dorian Gray has a very loose story.
Yeah. It's kind of like poetry, really, if you think about it. Like,
right.
if it's got beautiful prose, but not, like, a coherent story.
Right.
Which, I will say, Dorian Gray has... It grew on me. I think after I read it, I was like, okay, that was fine.
Yeah.
But the more I thought about it, it grew on me. So I think I like it more. And I think I said this when we reviewed it, I think I would enjoy it more with another read. Yeah. I don't think it'll ever become one of my favorites, but it's definitely one that
improves on the reread.
Yes.
Yeah. I think that
and as you ponder it and think about it.
Yeah. Yeah, because it is one of those that is largely, the story almost doesn't really matter that much.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, sure, whatever. The painting ages, Dorian doesn't.
Yeah.
And everything else about the story kind of doesn't matter. But
right. And I generally don't like pompous characters, so it was hard for me to like Henry. But if I look at him as especially comparing it to the movie where he was malicious.
Yeah.
Whereas in the book, he's just sort of like, I'm just saying it. I have no goal or intentions. I'm just kind of curious how you're going to react.
Yeah.
I don't know. Watching the movie really made me appreciate the book more.
Yeah.
Because I was like, you're doing things with it that weren't intended. Stop.
Right. Yeah.
Stop. So then it made me go, well, hey, the book did this. I like that better. So it kind of improved my my enjoyment too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks, bad book movies. You make me love the books more.
It really does work that way.
I don't know if I've said it. Good. No, it wasn't. I don't know if I've said it on the pod, but the only time that I read a book and was like, wow, the movie was a lot better was Stardust.
I have not read Stardust.
Sorry, Neil Gaiman, however you say it, but I don't even remember a lot of the book. I found it kind of dull. And the movie is fantasy, fun. Like, I love the actors, the story, and like a lot of it doesn't happen the same. So normally you would think I'd be like, oh, you didn't stay true to the book. But I was like, no, I love the movie. This book is meh.
Yeah. I have actually never read any Neil Gaiman.
I think that's the only one that I have.
I know.
But a lot of his stuff is turned into
films.
Yeah, or shows or whatever. So, and he does graphic novels and
I know he's like very prolific. I've just never picked up any of his work, so
we'll have to throw him on the list.
We'll have to give him a try.
Yeah.
We'll see. We will not choose Stardust to give him a fair chance.
Right. Right. We won't do that.
We'll pick something new.
But speaking of, what was I think this one's going to be pretty obvious to everyone.
Everyone knows.
What was your least favorite?
Well, I think my number one least favorite has to be Verity, followed by very closely by Final Girls Support Group.
Yeah, and I'm shocked that I'm gonna say this, but earlier today when I thought about it, I think I liked. I don't want to say I liked Verity more, but
you were more offended by Final Girls Support Group.
I think Verity was what it was, and it was really only problematic in the end. Like, and not to say that the rest of it was great, because it wasn't. There were problems all throughout, but the big thing that kind of ruined it was that quote-unquote twist at the end that made absolutely no sense. It was like, this is dumb. But I will say that it kept me wanting to read and find out what was going to happen next and what was going to happen next. So I'm like, I was engaged. I was interested in what was going to occur next. Whereas in Final Girl Support Group, I was like, what is happening? Her perspective feels weird. It makes no sense, or there's just random things in there that, like, it felt like Verity had holes, or at least unfinished, or just kind of stupid answers to the questions. I feel like Final Girl Support Group just had gaping holes.
Yeah.
With no answers or explanations, I just had such high hopes. It let me down.
Yeah.
So hard. I think right now in this moment, I liked that one less. And there were moments of the book that I did enjoy, but the more I think about it, the more disappointed I get.
I know. Yeah, I think honestly they are equals in my brain.
It's like if depending on what part you talk about, one will like rise to the I like it less. They just teeter right there at the same level.
I think the only strength that Verity has over Final Girls is the linear story. I mean, it starts here and ends here.
Right.
And I know technically Final Girls does that, but it just you're questioning reality constantly, which is a problem.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. But I mean,
and I don't feel like you're meant to. I feel like there are books that you're meant to question reality in.
Certainly.
And I don't think that that's one of them. So that's why it felt off.
Yeah. If he was trying to do something clever there, it did not come across.
Right.
But I felt the exact same when I was reading both of these books. Mm-hmm. And it was because I read both of them pretty quickly.
Yeah. And I remember reading Verity and being like disgusted at some moments.
Yeah.
But I feel like I felt more reading Verity than I did Final Girl Support Group. Which is wild to me. I was more emotionally affected. I don't know about invested, but I was more emotionally affected by the things that were said or done in Verity in moments than I was in most of Final Girl Support Group.
Yeah. I think whenever I read both of them, and what I kept thinking, I actually said it to Dakota when I was reading Final Girls, but it's something I kept thinking while I was reading Verity, and it's, I just need to finish this. I just want to know what happens so I can stop reading this book.
Yeah. And I kind of felt that way about both of them. Though for Final Girls, I was like, I really hope this gets better. I hope that this gets explained. I hope this whatever. But yeah, Verity, I was like, okay, I just want to get to the end and find out what happens.
Yeah. Like I'm
ready for this roller coaster ride to be over.
Yeah. Like I'm over this.
Yeah.
But I have to finish it. Mm-hmm. So let's just get this over with.
Yeah.
So I felt that way reading both books. I do think that the sections of Verity where it's Verity's like autobiography or whatever, I do get the feeling that those segments where she's writing about like hating being pregnant, trying to trigger alert here, trying to give herself an abortion, ignoring her babies, killing her children. I feel like that was super unnecessary.
Agreed. It was
I know that was put in there for the purpose of telling us that Verity's a bad person.
Yeah.
And I just felt like it was gratuitous and there for shock value.
Yeah.
Because the rest of the book is dull. Like nothing is going on.
And they're even trying to add some like sexy, spicy in there too.
It was like so so heavy-handed. Like, the sex scenes were just, like, they were, like, not sexy somehow.
Yeah.
So it was just, like, a fail on, I mean, there's a way to write someone being a bad person and doing vile things without it feeling so, like, clunky and, like, ham-fisted.
Yeah.
And clearly there's a way to write sex scenes that are actually sexy.
Right.
Like, you know?
And I'm going to have a hard time rooting for an adulterous thing when the lady is laying upstairs.
Yeah. What on earth?
What? What?
In no realm is it. First of all, why are you living in the house with them, period? Mm-hmm. But second of all, how are you just downstairs banging a married man whose wife is literally upstairs?
No matter if you think she's a horrible human being or not.
Yeah. It's so, and at that point, she hadn't told him that she had found this manuscript.
So it's not like they even shared their feelings of both being like, yeah, she sucks.
So at this point, to Lowen, I don't even remember his name because it doesn't matter, but at this point, he's a married guy who's cheating on his disabled wife. Mm-hmm. So why does she want to bang someone like that? That's a shit person.
Red alert.
This is a scenario where everyone sucks.
Right. Yeah. Maybe I do hate Verity more. I don't know. They both disappointed me so deeply.
They're both just not good.
Right.
At the end of the day, they're just not good.
And I just had so many high hopes. Many high hopes for Final Girls. I liked the ending. And that was really the only time I enjoyed the book. Was when, like, they were having an actual relationship with each other. Like, those tiny little bits in the end. I was like, oh, this is how the book should have started. They should have already been bonded like this.
Yeah.
And then gone through stuff. I don't know.
Yeah.
I could talk about this probably way too much longer, so.
I know.
Those were the least.
Grady Hendrix, if you're going to write female friendship, fucking learn how. Mm-hmm. Like, just at this point, just don't. Because you clearly have no idea how female relationships work.
Yeah. And don't kill, like, the nice, cool, awesome one. And tell me how cool and awesome she was. And don't even let me meet her.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool.
Yeah, how rude is that?
Stoked.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ridiculous.
And if you haven't listened to our episode on Final Girls, you should go back and listen to it because it's a good one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which leads us into our favorite episodes.
Yes.
I might have to go 1984.
Really? I was thinking about that one. I think Verity is one of my favorites.
Verity, yeah.
Just the discussion made me laugh, but I really enjoyed our Pride and Prejudice.
Yeah.
Conversation as well.
The first one.
Which I thought, I was like, oh, it's good. Like, we'll get more settled in, our conversations. I know it'll get better from here, but I don't know. I just, like, really enjoy that one.
Yeah. I haven't listened to that one, really? Maybe since, like, we very first published it. But Verity is a good one. And I think we talked about this in our Final Girls episode, but when you don't like a book, you're going to pick out, like, more technical issues. Mm-hmm. You're going to pull out more critiques.
Yeah.
It feels more like you're having an actual, like we're sitting in an actual college class having an intellectual conversation about it.
Yeah.
Whereas whenever it's something that's really good, usually it's very gushy, so it becomes a lot more emotional.
Yeah. I think I liked the Pride and Prejudice one because there were so many characters and, like, so many, like, quirks about each of the characters that we were able to discuss. Like, it was so fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
But 1984.
I think,
that's a good one.
That's, like, a really good middle ground. Like, I love 1984. It's just, like, kind of a bummer.
I was going to say, I struggle between, like, knowing that it is a very good book that I cannot argue that and would never. And there were parts of it, like in the middle, that I enjoyed reading. Mm-hmm. But oof.
Yeah, it's...
That ending, I don't know. I don't know. That one is... I really feel like I soaked in every word, so it's not even when I feel like I missed anything. I feel like I really got it all. Mm-hmm. And I just don't know if I would want to read it again.
Yeah.
But it's a very good book. It's a very good book. But it made me so sad.
It's definitely a downer, for sure. Which I think everyone needs to know before you read it. Like, it's not happy.
No.
But that's the point, obviously.
Right. It has a lot of things to say.
Mm-hmm, right.
For sure.
Right. It's a warning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's a warning. And honestly, we're seeing a lot of very Orwellian things going on in our world that we're living in now. So it's very pertinent.
Right.
I mean, I think we talked about it in our episode, but like, we're seeing a lot of attacks on books and language right now.
Yeah.
Like, we're censoring language heavily. We're going back to old books and censoring old books instead of just, if you want to trigger warning, if you want to warn of, like, offensive content, just slip a note in the front. Like, right. I am not down for censorship. No. Especially of books, for sure.
Well, and you're kind of, when you do that, you're kind of rewriting history.
You are.
You are, right. Because even if it's obvious that there are things that are written in books that people don't think that way anymore. They shouldn't think that way, shouldn't speak that way, what have you. But if you go back and change it, then 100 years from now, someone's going to read that and not understand what life was like.
Yeah.
You know, like, I don't know if that makes sense, but it's like if you start rewriting the fiction and then you start rewriting actual history and then who knows what the hell life was. You know, I just, like you said, it's like, just put trigger warnings or like, you know, we rate movies, rate the book with like an appropriateness level, or just, these are the topics TV shows do it all the time. Rated mature for sexual language or sexual whatever language, drug use, It's like, just have a little blurb like that in a book saying this depicts this kind of behavior, this depicts It's like, we're not saying to keep things in books to condone it, but...
And I don't like censoring it, period. Right. But one of the problems that comes in is you're defeating your own purpose with that censorship. Because Ian Fleming, for example, he wrote a lot of the early James Bond books, or maybe all of them. They're heavily sexist and misogynistic. They're super racist. And... I mean, what else do you need, right? Horrible. The way he wrote women and people of color, atrocious. But if you go in and change the racist language, change the misogynistic language, then you have people reading Ian Fleming who don't realize that Ian Fleming was a shitbag.
They'll be like, oh, Ian Fleming was amazing.
I love this Bond book.
Yeah.
When in actuality, what he wrote is really degrading to women and people of color.
Right.
So you're absolving people of their transgressions whenever you're erasing those transgressions. Right. So just stop it.
Right. Yeah.
And, you know, like in 1984, the whole point of Newspeak is the more simple the language, the fewer creative thoughts you can have. And if you control the language, you control the thoughts. And if you control the thoughts, you control the people.
Right.
So here we are living in a world where groups of people are trying to erase language, erase different monikers for people, erasing all kinds of shit out of our language. I mean...
And a lot of that stuff is like, it's a snapshot of what things were like. So people... even if it was terrible, it's like, but you look at that and see how far, like you said, like women are depicted really horribly in that. It's like, you can see how far we've come.
Yeah.
But if you erase that, and when you erase bad things in history, then you're not going to learn from it. You're not acknowledging it. And you're definitely going to be doomed to possibly repeat it.
Yeah.
Let's not do that.
Right. Yeah. People are shitbags. Let them be shitty.
Right.
And that's a shitty person.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, because you rewrite their books and then 100 years from now, people are like, oh, let's give a retroactive prize to such and such author for depicting this and this in such an amazing way. It's like, they didn't.
Yeah.
Originally, anyway, until they were fixed.
Yeah. It's defeating the purpose. Yeah. I mean, I honestly don't know what the purpose of censoring these books is, because if you pick up a book and you start reading it and it's just gratuitous use of the N-word, I feel like normal people would be like, oh my God, this is horrible.
Right.
Unless you're reading a book that is actually about slavery, and so that makes sense. But, I mean, a book written in the 60s probably shouldn't.
Maybe people are worried about people reading it and agreeing with it. But
yeah, I mean, people are going to do that anyway.
Right.
People who want to be racist, they're going to seek that content out no matter what.
But it's just a slippery slope. It's giving up certain liberties slowly until you turn around and it's too late.
Yeah.
They've taken the big ones now.
Yeah. It's like, it's so weird because on one side you have the people censoring language, going back to these old books and wanting to censor them. And then the other end of the political spectrum is banning books. So we're either going to not be able to get these books that we want to read, many of which on this list are on the banned list.
Which is crazy.
And then the books that we can have are being censored.
Neither is a good option.
Yeah, don't ban our books.
Be well informed.
And also don't rewrite them.
Right. Be well informed, make good choices.
Yeah.
And if a book is offensive, just don't buy it. And eventually, they won't print more copies. Like,
yeah.
They say vote with your money. Like, don't buy that book.
That's right.
And, things fall to the wayside. Like, things will become unpopular. But you rewrite it and then make it more appropriate, and then
it's going to keep, And Ian Fleming is the perfect example, because who is out here reading Ian Fleming's Bond books? No one.
I've never read them, but from what you're saying,
no one is reading them. You don't go into Half Price Books or Barnes & Noble and see an Ian Fleming. It's just simply not there. So is there a real reason that it would need to be censored? Because no one's reading it. Just because it's bad.
Let it die on the dusty shelf that it sits on, you know?
Exactly. Yeah, it's really infuriating that is a thing. But it's very Orwellian.
Yeah. Because like I said, it's like I can see both sides, especially when they're motivated by the fears that they're motivated by. But it's like, that's not the answer. Yeah.
That is not going to fix the problem that you're trying to fix.
Yeah.
It's going to exacerbate it, if nothing else.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It makes me really afraid.
Yeah. Well, and like you said, like censoring just different languages. Talk about, like, not okay.
So uncool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, you start with one, it seems small. But then the next step,
that's right.
That one's just small, until you're 10 flights up and you're like, oh, how'd we get here? 20 flights up. Oh, how'd we get here?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I feel like that is the case for so much stuff.
And that's what the thing was in 1984. They did it slowly until it was too late.
Yep.
Too late.
It was too late. They were too, and that's the point of the ending. It was too late.
Even everything he knew, he still died.
Yeah.
Loving Big Brother.
I know. He was doomed. He was doomed from the beginning, and he knew it.
And he knew it, and it still killed me.
I know.
I held out hope to that last moment, and I knew that I shouldn't have, but I did anyway. And maybe that's part of the point, too.
Yeah. Yeah,
you know,
it is.
Even though he told me not to have hope, he straight up told me this is what's going to happen. And I went, listen, sir, thank you for telling me that, but I'm going to disregard and have hope anyway.
I know.
Oh my gosh.
But, I mean, Bert McCracken, if you're listening, we had this conversation together.
Yeah. I was so excited for you. I was so excited. I was like, this is the best for her amazingness.
Yeah, it was wild. Because whenever he signed my book, all he said was, Winston and Julia. Oh. And I was like, he was doomed from the beginning.
Yep.
And he knew it. And then I felt very proud of myself.
Yeah.
That I could actually think in the moment.
Yeah.
Because I was very worried. I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna say something super dumb. I just know it.
Perfect moment.
Held it together. It was a perfect moment.
That's so good. I was so excited.
I will. I need to get a safety deposit box and put that book in there.
Or at very least a shadow box. You can hang it up.
See it. Yeah. I'm never reading it again. Goes against the opening quote for sure.
It's been read though.
It has been read and written in.
Yeah. So it's been.
It's
been experienced.
It served its purpose.
Exactly. Oh man. Okay. Well, I guess we can look forward. 2024.
Oh, yeah. We have a lot of books on our list.
Yeah, and I feel like we've talked about a bunch more than we actually have on the list.
Yeah, we kind of stopped putting them on the list because we do also change our mind a lot.
Right, but we should at least put them on the list so we don't forget about them because I know there's several we've talked about and they're not on there, and now I know I've forgotten them.
Yeah.
So. Sad.
I think, honestly, Macbeth. I think looking at the list, I'm going to say Macbeth.
Yeah, I'm a little intimidated by that one. And I don't know. I took a Shakespeare class in high school and loved it.
Yeah, I love Shakespeare.
But it's been so long, I'm afraid my brain has turned to moosh and it's not going to understand. But mostly I'm excited. Yeah. But there is a part of me that's scared.
I really love Macbeth. It's so metal. It's like the genesis of death metal for sure.
Wow.
It's brutal. Macbeth is.
Is my soul gonna be crushed?
No.
Okay.
No, it's not like.
Is it Hamlet? Which or Henry VIII? Which one's super sad?
Well, Hamlet is.
I mean, I know he has tragedies, but there's some that just seem.
I'd say, if I was gonna pick the most sad, I would probably go Hamlet.
Okay.
I know most people would say Romeo and Juliet, but I would say Hamlet.
Okay.
All of the Henry series, because Henry is a series.
Okay.
You have Henry III, and then you have Henry IV, parts 1 and 2. Mm-hmm. Henry V is the best, probably. Yeah. Timothée Chalamet plays Henry V.
Oh, I like Timothée Chalamet.
He does an excellent job.
I feel like Little Women is one that maybe should be on the list.
Definitely. I love Little Women.
But you saying Timothée Chalamet made me think, because that's the version of Little Women that I've seen.
Oh, yeah.
I loved it. It was so excellent.
It was excellent. He was excellent in that movie. Florence Pugh was excellent. Saoirse Ronan, she was great. So great. Emma Watson is in it.
Amazing.
I mean, it's just so good.
All of the March Girls.
I will be straight up honest with you. I think I cried through half of it.
You did. It's so emotional.
It really is.
But it's so good.
It's so good. But that whole aesthetic.
Yep. It's that Pride and Prejudice kind of vibe.
It really is. Listen, we have a type.
We 100% have a type.
Yeah. Greta Gerwig. I mean, come on. Yeah. That movie was excellent.
It was so excellent. Loved it. So yeah, we'll have to add that one to the list for sure.
Yeah, it's a really excellent book as well.
But I am excited for Macbeth. Partly, I think I've said this before, I watched the show Gargoyles growing up, and they had a lot of references to Shakespearean things.
Yeah.
And Macbeth was actually a character in the show.
Right.
But yeah, like I remember we read Much Ado About Nothing, Othello. That one was wah wah, so sad. What was one of the other? We read a couple of the comedies that I really, really liked.
Midsummer Night's Dream.
We didn't get to that one, but I want to read that one too. Because that one. Again, that was one that was referenced in the Gargoyle show.
Yeah.
So, what's the one where it's the sister and brother and they swap places, or at least the sister like impersonates the brother?
I know this one for sure.
And then I think we read 12th Night, maybe?
I was... 12th Night.
And that one was good too.
I can't believe I can't even think of the brother-sister swap, but the movie She's the Man is based on that. As soon as you say it, I'm going to feel really dumb, but...
Don't feel dumb, because... Oh, it is 12th Night.
Is it 12th Night?
It is 12th Night.
That's the first thing that came to my brain, but... Yeah, that one's good.
Yeah.
Which, well... Macbeth and Henry V are probably my favorite Shakespeare's, honestly.
But yeah, I am stoked for that one. That one's going to be good.
Midsummer Night's Dream, though. That one's up there, too.
We'll have to put it on there.
Yeah.
I am really excited to get into further the Legendborn story and get to Bloodmarked.
Yeah. So you are excited to
do Bloodmarked.
Yes. Same. I feel like it's going to be so good.
And the third one is releasing in, is it 2024 or 2025?
25.
Okay. Well, I'm excited to read that one in 2024.
Yeah.
But
I think that'll be the conclusion. Mm-hmm. So.
And then I've seen it randomly brought up here and there. It's not like big like Fourth Wing, but Belladonna is one that I keep seeing people kind of bring up in their lists.
Yeah.
So I'm interested.
I'm interested. Yeah.
I think it has something to do with a Grim Reaper. Maybe?
I don't know. I think Belladonna is like a poison.
It is.
Okay.
But
maybe.
But it's just simply people talking about it and like saying it's good. I'm like, okay.
All right.
But I could have sworn one of the times they said it had something to do with a Grim Reaper. So
interesting.
Got to be careful Googling Belladonna. I don't want them thinking I'm trying to poison anybody over here. Book
Belladonna. It's really, and you also have to like be careful because one wrong Google search and you've ruined the story for yourself.
Yeah.
So like anyone listening, if you've never read like ACOTAR or Throne of Glass or Crescent City, don't be Googling. Don't Google fan art.
No.
Nothing, because it will like ruin some of the story for you.
It will. It absolutely will.
So as far as like anticipated book releases, I'm not sure. We've already talked about the third in the Legendborn series, which is going to be called Oathbound. That's 2025. But most anticipated release for this year, probably Crescent City 3.
Yeah.
It comes out January 30th.
I definitely need to read those books also.
Yes.
I've read the other two series in entirety, so I really need to read the Crescent City books.
Both are in my Audible.
And that would be an easy way for me to consume them while reading books for the pod. So that is a goal of mine, to listen to those two and be ready for that release.
Yeah. And the narrator for both Crescent City books is the same as the one from Throne of Glass, which is a real plus because she does a really excellent job.
I like her a lot.
Love her. She does a great job. I've enjoyed both Crescent City books. I will say, still prefer Throne of Glass.
But do you like its writing style better than ACOTAR?
Yes.
Okay. Cool.
It's written in the third person multi-POV like Throne of Glass.
Right. Right.
So, yes, I do. I just prefer it.
Yeah.
So,
I will say, though, I like the things she writes.
She does have a way of making you care about the characters in some way. Mm-hmm. Not all of the characters, mind you, but
most of them.
Most of them. I don't know. I feel like probably as far as enjoyment level, I would put Crescent City as the same as ACOTAR for enjoyment level.
Is it like, is ACOTAR the most spice-centric one? Or does Crescent City kind of dabble in it in the same ratio?
I would say, well, our main characters' love interest, they do not actually do the deed until the second.
I like a little waiting in the storyline.
There's like a build to their relationship for sure.
Nice.
But there is like sexual content, like sexual language, but not in the same way. Yeah. But I do think that once you get into the second book, it is a lot more like probably Silver Flames.
Oh.
Not...
We did. That's a big jump.
Not as frequent. Not as frequent, but...
As intense.
Described similarly.
Gotcha. Okay.
Instances. But...
And I really enjoy the fantasy elements of ACOTAR with the cauldron and all that stuff. I found that all to be super interesting. Even if it felt a little lacking.
Yeah.
For other people.
Yeah.
I liked what she gave me. But that's kind of what I was wondering. Like, do you feel like the world is built well, if not better, than ACOTAR? I'm only comparing to ACOTAR because I know you absolutely love Throne of Glass. So there's no...
Yeah. I think... So there are a lot more creatures in Crescent City. So you get shifters, you get fae, you get mer people, you get fire sprites, you have humans.
I like me some creatures.
There's so many creatures, which is cool. And they all have their own hierarchies. It is a modern society, so just know that going in.
Okay.
But it doesn't bother me.
Yeah. I feel like as long as you build your world well, it's fine.
There is a lot of stuff that I think she's intentionally left vague because...
To elaborate on later?
Yes, because the, like, overarching power system are these, like, beings called the Asteri. They're, like, godlike beings, but you don't really know much about them. And I think there is going to be a big reveal. Like, big crossover reveal of who these characters are.
Yes.
So I think a lot of the world building and, like, the world they're in is called Midgard.
Which feels very Thor.
It is. Okay. Yes. Yeah. So they're on Midgard, but they don't really know how all of the creatures that are on Midgard got there. Or when exactly. So the characters themselves don't really know their history or their true origins or how they got there. So those big questions are questions for the characters as well. So we don't know a lot of that.
Cool.
Which is interesting.
I don't mind things being left untold as long as you're building me there.
Yeah. It doesn't feel like it's being withheld too long.
Good. Cool.
Yeah. Because there are other things you're solving first. So on the way to that. And also, if you've read the other series, when you get towards the end of the second book is when you... And even there are elements in the first book that you're like, oh, wait. I saw that exact thing in ACOTAR.
I mean, just looking at the cover of it, I'm like, he looks like one of the Bat Boys.
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Right.
So...
Exactly.
So cool. So, I liked your theory that, like, that she's going to write a series that's just based on, like, the crossover of...
Yeah.
Which that would be cool.
Yeah, because I think it was recently confirmed that she's starting a new series. And I think it was released maybe a couple of years ago that she had, like, gotten a copyright for Twilight of the Gods as, like, a title. So, like, Twilight of the Gods is, like, another word for Ragnarok, which is, like, the ultimate, like, Thor showdown. Like, the ending of the world and stuff. Yeah. So, I mean, it doesn't really take too much of a leap.
Yeah.
To get there.
Cool.
So, I mean,
nice.
Theories are theories, but I feel like we can all kind of just, like, assume that that's where this is going.
Yeah, cool.
We're going to end up in Twilight of the Gods with all three worlds.
Cool. Very nice.
So,
exciting.
If nothing else, Crescent City is just more information you have to have for the crossover.
Right. So I better get on it.
Yeah. I'm sticking around for my Throne of Glass people to show back up.
Right. I need to see them again.
Yeah. Because I enjoyed Crescent City, but would I be chomping at the bit to read Crescent City 3 if I wasn't like, all right, well, am I going to get Aelin and Manon in this book?
Right. It's a smart model to follow.
She's dragging me along for that alone.
Yes.
Really.
Yeah. Smart women.
I see what you're doing here.
Smart women.
And it's working.
Yeah.
So.
And then books like on my personal TBR, there's a couple that I picked up at like Goodwill that I'm interested to read, but there's this one, I follow I follow a few, they seem like self-published authors, like on Instagram or something. And there's this one, and I don't even fully know, I don't know what the plot is about. It's just like I remember her saying like, if you like this, 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 and this, those things are in this book. And like an excerpt from it made me kind of go, ooh, that sounds good. I think it's called The Starlit Prince. And nice thing about it, it's a self-contained, like one book. Just a one book fantasy. I'm like, I need a one book fantasy in my life. I love these huge sprawling series. But sometimes you just need a one and done. A one and done.
Yeah. It's hard to come by in the fantasy genre.
It is. And then I need to finish the Shadow and Bone. So Rule of Wolves and King of Scars.
Oh, yeah. I need to read those either.
I need to read those two also to finish that out. Because I love Nikolai.
I did like him a lot as well.
As we've discussed, we like dark-haired boys, but Nikolai, I like him.
Yeah. I mean, honestly,
He's a blonde boy, just in case you don't know.
I was kind of rooting for him over Mel.
Me too, a little bit.
I kind of thought Mel was a bit of an ass.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah. But I don't know. Not that I didn't think Elena was good enough for Nikolai, but like, clearly she wasn't feeling it. Like, I feel like he could have grown feelings for her where she just wasn't. I don't know. I want Nikolai with somebody that he's going to have.
Yeah. Yeah.
A wonderful love story with.
I agree. I honestly think that Alina should have just been with the Darkling. Let's be honest.
I thought I was the only one that like was kind of like a little okay with like the tension, you know? Like there were obviously he's a piece of poop, but but maybe, you know, she could have brought out his good side and he could have brought out her bad side. I don't know.
Yeah. I also sometimes I am just waiting for the like female main character to just fall into the arms of the villain and just become a villain.
Yeah. I kind of wanted to see it. But then I was talking about it with somebody and they were like, it's just gross. Like, why would we think that they would eat? Why is that even believable that they would be together? I'm like, yeah, it's so stupid.
Because
I secretly kind of wanted that.
Because no one is taken in by someone who's handsome and powerful and dark and brooding. That's never the attraction.
Well, and especially, I think was it the second book? They kind of had those like weird little connection moments.
Yes.
And she's torn and lonely and, you know, and they're both kind of like in this like painful place. I don't know. I don't know. It's been a while since I've read them, but I myself in those moments kind of got swept up in it and was like, ooh, yeah. And then I was like, oh, wait, I forgot. No.
Yeah.
No. But
I mean,
it was sweeping me up a little.
I feel like the Darkling would have swept me up and I would have just let him.
Is it the Ben Barnes of it all, or even in the book?
I mean, even in the book when I was reading it.
Just making sure. It wasn't strictly because Ben Barnes played it.
I mean, that did make it more real. Whenever I was like, oh, Ben Barnes is playing the Darkling? Of course he is.
It just shows how bad the movie was that I didn't even like Ben Barnes being Dorian Gray.
Oh, I know.
I was like, I can't even enjoy you being Dorian Gray. This is awful.
On paper, that cast should have been all-star A-team cast for that film.
Yep.
Colin Firth, come on. The
Firth
original
Meister?
Darcy.
I know.
That should have been a slam dunk.
Yeah.
And then it just simply, the writing was just not good.
And they twisted who the characters were.
Yeah. Whoever was in the writer's room when they were creating the Dorian Gray adaptation, you should not be allowed near a writer's room.
Unless you've improved
you need to show
greatly in your time away.
Prove your repentance from that atrocity. You did my man Lord Henry so dirty.
Right. That's so funny. And true.
Yeah. Undeniable. Mm-hmm. I have actually just set myself a very lofty goal for 2024.
What is that?
And that is to read the entire Cosmere by Brandon Sanderson, which is a lot of books.
I know. I don't. It sounds wrong, but I was a little sad when I found out it was more than just those 3 books. I was like, okay, yeah, I'm really excited. And then I found out that there's like all these spin-offs, and then I got immediately overwhelmed. And I was like, wait, maybe I can't.
Yeah.
But I really want to read.
I know.
The, what is it?
Mistborn.
Mistborn, yeah.
I read Mistborn, which is the original trilogy that started the Cosmere. It's great. I am a little daunted because it's like so many, like 12 books.
Right. Which we've done things like that before, but it just feels daunting.
It feels very daunting, especially because I also want to finish reading Wheel of Time.
Yeah.
Which is 14 books.
See, that one's a big one too that I'm like... I do another series before I forget. Darker Shade of Magic. I've heard is really good.
I know,
and it's like a trilogy, but then there's this new 4th one. But I don't know if it's like a spin-off or if it's a continuation. I'm not fully sure how that works. But I have a very dear friend that has told me many a time that I need to give Darker Shade of Magic a read, and so
yeah,
B. Schwab.
I hear
we're coming for you.
I've been hearing a lot.
Not in a bad way. Just we want to read. I want to read your book.
Yeah, those are on my list. I look at those every single time I'm in Audible to use like my monthly credit.
Yeah,
and it will happen one day. But that's my 2024 goal.
Nice.
Is to read the Cosmere.
Very cool.
The whole thing. So I'm gonna reread Mistborn first, obviously. I have a list of the optimal reading order.
Yeah.
Which I don't usually do. Generally, my instinct is to read in publication order. Because that's how it was released.
Right.
And I want to experience it the way that it was released. But we'll see if I go with the reading order suggested by Reddit or if I will just read by publication date. I don't know.
Nice. And it's funny that like those things feel so daunting to me, but it's probably because I did the Audible for them. This is just like a random recommendation, I suppose. The Harley Merlin and Finch Merlin books. I believe they're YA probably. There's no spice, but they get into a lot of different cultural lores, or just a lot of like fantasy, different kind of like powers. I don't know. I found them to be such a fun listen, but there's a there's a buttload. There's a ton. I can't even remember how many, but like I said, you go from Harley Merlin, there's like a decent set of those, and then Finch Merlin, and then there's a third named person, Merlin. I haven't even listened to those yet, but that was an enjoyable series with a lot of books. But like I said, it was easy to listen to, and I didn't feel like I don't know. It wasn't one of those things where like if you zone out for a minute, you're like totally lost.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know why, because you think about things that you have done, and you're like, oh, I can do this, but
yeah,
I know it's got a complicated. I know that Mistborn has a complicated magic system.
Yeah.
So I think maybe that's also what intimidates me. But I know you can do it.
Yeah, it's just a matter of actually getting it done.
Right.
But yeah, so I'm gonna read the Cosmere this year. I read the Poppy War this year. And I need to finish the last. I think there are 3 more. I think it's 4 books. Either way, I read the first one. I really, really enjoyed it. It is a bummer, but it's good. So I need to read the rest of them.
Nice.
But yeah, I don't know what my favorite book outside of our most anticipated book releases other than Crescent City.
Yeah.
I don't know. But
I don't either. Yeah. I think whatever we've already mentioned is that's it.
That's it.
Because we're focused on our list of books that we're trying to pod and chat about, so.
Because we've started, we have multiple series going right now. We've got to finish HP. We've got to finish Lord of the Rings, which I think our first episode back in the new year is going to be Two Towers.
Yes. We did kind of swerve on you doing this episode, but Two Towers is still coming.
Yeah. So we're deep in that. We started the ACOTAR series, so we'll be continuing that at some point.
I guess we should finish those 3 before we start another one, maybe?
Yeah, we should probably.
At least we're so close to finishing Lord of the Rings, so we could get that one out of there and then
get that one.
Throw a new one in or something.
Yeah.
It's hard to find standalone books these days.
It really, especially whenever you're just drawn to fantasy.
Right. Which, like I said, is a good and a bad thing. You want more.
Yeah.
But then there's always more. And there's so little time.
There's so little time. Especially when you have to, go to work.
I know.
What do you expect me to do all day?
Can this be our job? Not right now.
It would be nice.
It would be so nice.
It would be so nice. I feel like if you want ARC readers, we would be really good ones.
Yeah.
For any people out there writing a book right now.
Yeah.
We'll tell you how it is.
Yeah.
Might not be very nice. For me, at least.
I'll try and sugarcoat it a little bit.
I don't want to hurt your feelings.
Maddie will embolden me, I'm sure.
I have always wondered what it would be like to get an ARC copy and have to review it, because I never want to say I like a book that I didn't like. Right. I don't have it in me. But
no. But that's the whole point. They want honest feedback.
Honest feedback. How honest do you want this feedback?
Maybe just be very honest, but also kind about it.
Yeah.
Not like this absolute dog turd.
Don't shred it apart.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, so there are some problems, but I'm confident that you can fix them. Here they are.
This is my list of grievances.
Right. Right.
Yeah. But you know what? A lot of people don't care about a lot of those things.
Yeah.
Especially people who are strictly reading to like escape or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
They want a romance, maybe some spicy scenes, especially if they're in our age group, and a happy conclusion.
Yeah.
And they're satisfied.
Yeah.
Which is fair. I mean, if you don't need anything else in a book, good, that's awesome. Makes your life so much easier, honestly.
You know, like we said, you know, this world out here is rough, so sometimes you do just need a bit of joy and a happy ending.
Exactly. In the book kind.
Right.
Yeah. I never want to shame someone for what they like to read.
Yeah.
I'm definitely not going to, like, actually shame someone in person for what they like to read.
No. You're just simply going to say, that's not my taste, but I'm excited for you that you enjoy that in a non, like, condescending way. It's like, literally, I'm so happy that you enjoy that.
Yeah, I mean...
And aren't bothered and vexed by it like I am.
Yeah. I mean, you know, the amount of minutes spent thinking about all of the plot holes in various books could be spent just reveling in the amazingness of another book. But
right.
It's just not the way my brain works, unfortunately.
I know it.
Damn it. So, that's our wrap up.
Yes, it is.
This is our wrap for the year.
Woohoo.
Last episode, 2023, in the books.
Yep.
It's been a good year book-wise.
Yeah.
Pod-wise.
Yes.
Externally, we'll leave that for you guys to decide.
Right.
Oof. Any final thoughts on your end?
I've thoroughly enjoyed this. And like I said, it's pushed me to read more books than I probably would have on my own. Not because I didn't want to, but just sometimes I have a hard time mustering up the getting started on things.
Yeah.
So this has been really good for getting me to read more and then getting me to read things I wouldn't necessarily have picked up on my own or would have been too intimidated to start reading or whatever. So, and of course, it's brought us closer together and I've just really enjoyed the whole experience.
I agree. It's always nice to have someone who's reading the same thing you are
Yes.
at a given moment.
With equal excitement or whatever, just equal like attitude about discussing it. Because some people, you can read the same thing. They don't really want to talk about it or like, you know, dissect it. They're just like, yeah, I liked that. No, yeah. Or, you know, it's not everybody wants to like talk it to death.
Yeah. I know.
But some things, I just want to talk about it.
I know.
So I'm glad that we like to talk about it together.
That's something I've actually struggled with most of my life is very few people in my life read a lot and also want to have conversations at length about said whatever.
Yeah.
I think Jeree is probably the only other person that reads and who I could have like hours and hours of conversation with about a said book. But other than like you and Jeree are probably the only two.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yes. I'm up there. I think my friend Ashley would definitely, and we've talked about books before, but we also get distracted by a bunch of other things that we talk about that we don't get to have like the in-depth book talks. But we definitely, she's my other friend that I know she would if I stayed on track.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough.
Or she'll, like, what will happen too is like, we won't read things at the same time. Like, she'll have read it and recommended it to me or vice versa. And we'll do that with, like, TV shows and stuff, too. So it's, like, we'll be equally excited, but, like, kind of, like, at different times.
Yeah.
But it's still really good.
Yeah. Yep. So overall, I mean, you know, 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10. We're rating our own pod here, folks.
Hey. If you can't hype yourself, how are you going to expect other people to hype you? You know what I mean?
So true. And hyping myself is something I struggle with. But I'm doing it today.
Yeah, I'm much more of a self-deprecator, but not today, folks. So that's it.
Yeah, we've rated ourselves. You also can rate us.
You can. You absolutely can. So please do.
Yeah. 5 stars preferably.
5, that'd be great. If you want to send us your book recommendations of what you want to read in 2024, what you want us to read in 2024, you can DM us at those socials. You can send us an email.
Our book list does have gaps.
It does.
And we're always able and willing to swap things around, too. Nothing is chiseled in stone here.
Everything is constantly in motion, so it's very fluid as far as schedule. Mm-hmm. So we'll fit in a rec.
Yep.
If you want to send it. Tunes, artwork, all a collaboration of our creatives.
Yep.
One note, I would say, Spotify has been a little bitch recently.
Yeah, I don't know what your deal is, Spotify. We're not stealing tunes from anyone.
They flagged our episode on Akatar for music infringement. So I sent him an email, said, yo, we composed and created all songs in this episode. Wholly original. I can show you the native files from GarageBand. Like, we created this shit. Mm-hmm. And then, I don't know, it was a couple days later, the episode was just back up. And I was like, all right. And then they did it again. So Final Girls, I still don't think is on Spotify. It's everywhere else. It's on Audible. It's on Apple Pods. I mean, I don't understand.
Spotify, get it together.
Yeah, so I emailed them again, obviously.
Right.
And told them, hey, we already have this problem. I already gave you this explanation.
Tell me how you would like me to fix this for the future. And then they don't respond.
Haven't responded. I'm checking. I've checked like every day. So
if it continues to happen, maybe we'll have a tunes change. But
yeah, it's possible.
You know, we might have to refresh the tunes. I don't know.
So, I mean, keep a lookout for that. I don't know. I don't know what it could be about it that is triggering that.
I don't know. Especially because it's only the one app.
Right.
Otherwise, I'd say Grady Hendrix is coming after us for...
I know. Yeah, it's just Spotify. So, I don't know what it could possibly be because I literally, on my computer, was just like, created all 3 of those songs. Yep. So...
Yes, Mad is our musical genius over here.
I just don't know how it could flag infringement.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. But, Spotify.
Yeah.
Please, knock it off.
Yep. Right now, please.
Yes, post haste. So, until next time, have an excellent end of the year.
Yeah.
And we'll see you in the new year.
Uh-huh.
And keep reading books.
Read those books.
Hey. Bye.
Bye.